You ever notice how some cities start feeling tired? Like the dream that built them just sort of burned out? That's San Francisco right now. Folks packing up, heading out, chasing air that doesn't cost $3,000 a month. And right in that quiet exit stood Silas Gray, wondering if leaving the life he'd built was a breakdown or a breakthrough. Silas had done the grind, a decade in tech, caffeine on drip, eyes fried from code. Back then, he swore the skyline glittered just for him. But one foggy morning, he stared out that fancy apartment window and thought, "Mate, this doesn't feel like living anymore. The rent? Bonkers. The office? Downsizing again. His social life? Basically Zoom and sarcasm. Everyone around him was pitching apps like used cars, chasing seed funding like it was oxygen. Silas, he was done. Cooked. When HR dropped the next realignment email, he just sat there, blank screen, burnt hard, and then whispered, "Maybe it's time I bail too." He fought it at first. Of course he did. Who ditches the tech capital of the world? His mates teased him. "Bro, you're living the dream. Don't be daft." His mom back in Toronto told him, "Honey, just write it out." But deep down, he knew this city was building a resume, not a life. So he sold nearly everything, stuffed 2 suitcases, and booked a one-way ticket. No plan, no spreadsheet, just gut instinct. He left the keys on the counter, took one last look at that skyline, and said under his breath, "Cheers, San Fran. I'm out." He landed in Boise, Idaho. Yeah, random as heck. No Teslas humming by, no hustle vibe, just people who actually looked up when they walked. He rented a tiny cabin outside town. The place smelled like pine and peace, 2 things he hadn't felt in years. First week was rough. He kept grabbing his phone, waiting for pings that never came. Silence can mess with your head when you're used to chaos. But then slowly, the quiet started feeling kinda good. He'd wake with the sun, cook eggs, take walks with no AirPods. And one morning, halfway through his coffee, he laughed and said, "Blimey, I'm actually calm." At the local diner, he met Henry. Old bloke, retired teacher, read the paper cover to cover every morning. Henry looked up one day and went, "City kid, huh?" Silas chuckled. "That obvious?" "Aye, the city's where people build careers. Out here's where they rebuild themselves." That line landed deep. They started grabbing breakfast every Sunday, eggs, black coffee, long chats about life before the algorithm. Henry told him, "You young folks chase upgrades. Try standing still for once, see what updates you." Silas just smiled, stirring his coffee like he'd found a new kind of code, one that fixed hearts instead of apps. Weeks turned into months. He picked up freelance gigs, helped local shops get online, taught coding to kids. Didn't make bank, but made a difference. He hiked, painted, cooked, real stuff. Each day felt less like escaping and more like becoming. He didn't miss the rush. He missed being present. And under those Idaho stars, he finally whispered, "Guess I'm not running away anymore. I'm running home." Then came a ping, first one in ages. "Old coworker from the Bay. Dude, layoffs again. How'd you know when to leave?" Silas typed back, "When the job started owning me instead of me owning my life." Hit send, locked the phone, walked outside. Sun hit his face and he smiled like someone who'd just deleted a toxic app. That night, sitting on the porch, he looked up, actual stars, not city lights, and it hit him. He hadn't left San Francisco. He'd left the version of himself that needed approval to breathe. He traded pressure for presence, noise for nuance, deadlines for daylight. "Man," he muttered, "peace kinda slaps." A year later, he flew back for a visit. Same skyline, same chaos. But he saw it different this time, like watching an old film you've outgrown. Caught up with a few mates at a cafe. They were still chasing Series C funding and bragging about sleep deprivation. One asked, "So what are you working on now?" Silas grinned. "Myself, mate." They laughed, half amusement, half envy. He just sipped his flat white, calm as a Swiss lake. That night, driving out past the bridge, fog curling through the headlights, he caught the skyline fading in the rearview mirror. He whispered, leaving wasn't the end. It was the start. Soft piano rises, you know, that gentle build that gives goosebumps. Sometimes the best thing that can happen is losing what you thought you couldn't live without, because that's when you finally see what matters. Not success, but peace. Not recognition, but meaning. Not more, just enough. You know, people keep asking why I help others. And for the longest time, I didn't really have an answer, mate. I just did it, kind of felt right, you know. But lately I've been thinking, maybe it's something God dropped in me, like this little spark that just won't quit. 'Cause truth is, the world's noisy, yeah? But real stories, they still matter. So if this one hit home, send a super chat during the premiere, drop a super thanks after, or step inside the Alive circle. It's not just support, it's you saying, keep telling the truth. And that's what keeps this whole thing alive.